You're listening to Season 5 of the Three Angry Giant Fans and the Jet Fan podcast, where we detail the news and happenings of the Jets and Giants and talk about the highs and mostly lows that those teams provide us each week. We also tackle pet peeves and answer all listener questions. And in Season 5, we're kicking it up a notch. We have two new sponsors. The first is Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina, and the second is the gold standard of hairstyling butter, Rugged Uncle. Download our podcast at Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to check out our new website, www.angryfootballfans.com. Enjoy the podcast and go Jets and Giants.
Ruling on the field, stands is called. Is a Kansas City catch. And first down and goal. Oh, Tony, I know you're not going to.
So that's a recap of the play that was a possible interception or an incompletion, and yet it was called a completion for the Chiefs, which they would have been bailed out anyway because there was a defensive holding that was called before that. One of many, let's not even call them 50-50 calls, but one of many situations where the Bills came out on the short end, and of course they lost that game, and we now have what most of the football world dislikes, a Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. We are the Three Angry Giant Fans and a Jet fan. It's your host, Scott, Giant Mike Cardone, and Angry Jets fan, Novak. And our disappointment isn't just our own. It's shared by most of the football world, which is a wonderful thing. We've been talking about this all year, guys, and it came true. It's just been an awful year of football for many, combined with the college championship and now this, and this just continues to slide.
Yeah, I think what'd you say there in the beginning? The one we dislike. I think dislike people are going to find out here over the next hour or so. That's a mild term. This is Armageddon. This is the worst it could possibly be. Yet what we all knew was going to happen. Here we are, right where the season meaningless at this point. Didn't even need to play it. Could have placed these two teams here. And like you mentioned, just like 2024 and then, coming into 2025, I just outside of Michigan winning a national title, which they did do in the calendar year of 2024, just an awful year for me of football. And I know you guys are right on board with that too. Terrible.
Yeah. No, it's been bad from the start. Throw in the as Yankee fans, Scott and I are, half of us are, they're losing the World Series. Yeah, this has been just disastrous. Just a disastrous season, football wise. The only good thing, and I'm stating the obvious, but at least watching one of these teams walk off the field a loser is all you have. Like someone has to lose. So that's all we got. Someone has to lose. It's just, I'll forget about the winner when it's, but at least someone's going to, just be miserable and depressed and whatever, but we'll break it all down.
I mean, if you really think about it, you think about how this season started with the potential high hopes that we both had, me more than you guys. I mean, I thought the Jets were going to be actual contenders this year. They were a disaster. Coaches fired, GMs fired. You guys couldn't win a game. You win a meaningless game to drop you down to third. Your biggest rivals in the Super Bowl, the Chiefs, who we all can't stand and have ripped on for years. It's just like one, and I know I've said it every week, it's just one kick in the nuts after the next. And every single week, it's something. And this is what we got to sit with. These two teams, I might not watch.
As of this moment, I'm saying I'm not watching.
Same.
Yeah.
At least not sober.
You have a podcast to do after that. You have to be somewhat knowledgeable about what happened.
That is true. Yeah. I guess we do. Thank God for this, because seriously.
So before we break everything down, let's have a lighter note and give a shout out. Like this name of a town. So hello, Bear, Delaware. Population 19,371. And the name does not come from a physical bear, but it comes from a tavern that George Washington visited that had a bear on the sign. So in 1890, the population of Bear was 50. And it had grown to 9 people to 59 by 1900, and now stands at 19,371. So, Bear, Delaware.
All right.
It's actually
like
not
B-E-A-R?
a B-E-A-R, like an actual hey boo boo, that
Yeah,
bear, like
that bear, just like the animal.
Just bear, singular, not like Bear's Den or Bear Creek, just Bear.
Bear, Delaware.
Yeah, I love it. I'm with it.
I want to know how that happened. Like one guy goes, you know what? That bear sign's pretty cool. Let's call our town Bear. I don't know how the hell it happened. It's like
there's a town just north of that called Red Lion, which sounds like got named similarly.
Probably was a Red Lion pub.
Yeah.
So as we were talking about before, we have the dreaded Super Bowl matchup. Eagles Redskins game was it was just a laugh fest. The Eagles had the most points ever in an NFC Championship game. They had the most rushing touchdowns ever in a postseason game. Will Shipley was getting in on the action at the end of the game. Barkley's out there running around after Shipley scores, giving them the high five, giving them the body blows, and look at Saquon. He's as excited as anyone in this crowd. You watch that game, you watch the dismantling of Washington, and it just, as a Giants fan, it brings disgust because you realize that the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, and the Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl.
Have a good chance. Yeah. I mean, right? This game, I tell you, what if you're the Lions and you're watching that if you're a Lions fan and you're like, we just got our asses whipped by this Commander team, Redskin team, whatever. Just how are you swallowing that? If they watched, you know what I mean? That's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about, man, if you're a Lions fan, but that game, I mean, Barkley breaks up. Washington had a nice time-consuming drive. They went for about 8,000 fourth down conversions, which they keep getting. But what do we know? I guess if we want to break that down. To go up 3-0, so you're like, okay, Washington, this is going to be a game. They're going to be in it. They're playing, and Barkley with the wide sweep for a 70-yarder home run on the first play, right there. I'm like, this fucking game is over. It's over. I don't know, but I don't know if you guys felt the same way. I'm like, over. Right there, 7-3.
He wasn't even touched.
No.
I mean, barely touched, and everyone's acting like it was like a Barry Sanders run. I mean, they were waving him by. I couldn't believe that it was that simple, and it was the whole day.
Can you imagine one of those defenses in the 80s, like the Bears, the Giants? Can you imagine them letting a team rip off a run like that for the first play of the game?
No.
You know what's amazing about that play too? Now I'm thinking I'm visualizing it in my head. And as soon as Barkley got the ball and the sweep and you saw the line, I don't know if he had gotten to just past the line of scrimmage, maybe not even. And I said to myself, oh, he's gone. You could see it.
Yes.
Before he even fucking turned the corner.
I mean, the Commanders had to go into that game saying, we have to do one thing, and that's stop Barkley. And in the first play. I couldn't believe it.
They get Bobby Wagner tripping over his own guys. When does that happen for our teams? When does a player the caliber of Bobby Wagner just trip over somebody on the way to the hole? It just, like you guys mentioned, it just couldn't be a simpler play call. They run a little fake action right, hand it to Barkley going right to left, and just nobody home. Nobody home. I don't. It's we haven't even mentioned the Barkley factor of this Super Bowl yet. Just I don't know. Let's shut this down. Does anyone else feel like doing this?
We sound really freaking defeated right now.
We can't even muster up angry. It's just we're just numb.
You know what we feel like right now was going to be the point I make? We feel like Jaden Daniels on the sideline that the camera kept showing every 5 minutes and he's just staring blankly ahead. That's us. We're blanking, we're numb, and for some reason there's a camera guy fixated on Daniels. So after Hurts runs a tush push for 2 yards, we got to pan over to Daniels on the bench like he's doing something. And by the way, the tush push, that sequence where Washington just kept jumping off sides, and finally the ref had to make the comment that they can award a touchdown if this happens again. Well, you know what? Ban the fucking tush push. The tush push is gotten to be such a facade. The offense is committing a penalty every single time they do that because they're lined up in a bad formation. Someone's always moving before the ball snapped. It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a gimmick play. It really is. It's a gimmick, and the NFL, just the integrity. I don't know, man. Maybe is it just us, or like it just seems like the integrity of the National Football League just like rolls back several notches with this play being a legal play in the NFL. Just everything about it just looks ridiculous. It just does.
Fan of the show Ogre had that as one of his questions. Should we revisit banning the tush push? And I'll tell you something. I think the NFL likes it. I think the NFL likes the fact that there's a play now that everyone's like, oh, here's the brotherly shove, here's the tush push, here's this. I think they like that.
Yeah,
I really do.
I think if other teams could run it as successfully as the Eagles do, that I could get more on board with banning it. I don't want to ban it because I don't want to come off to just punish the Eagles. And there's something about we all saw the Bills in the other game. They couldn't, they've got an equally talented quarterback there, but they couldn't get a tush push going. We know we couldn't. I've seen other teams fail. There's other teams that do it pretty good, but there's something going on there. But yeah, it's really just, remember when you couldn't assist the runner? Like, remember when that was a rule? It was actually a thing.
The Reggie Bush pushed Matt Leinart, I think it was.
Yeah,
that's right.
And they outlawed it after that in college too.
Yep. So that came back. We can do that now, I guess. That's something they took off the books. Just put that back on the books. Let's face it. They're all about safety. How safe is it to have two, running backs just plow into the back of your quarterback on every play? I mean, he's going to get hurt doing it. I'm a lot of his injuries over the years, the past couple of years, maybe they have come from that. I don't know, but I'm so beat down by it all. I don't even care.
The only thing Washington did wrong on going off sides is that they should have drilled Hurts while doing it.
Yeah.
You're going to go off sides, earn it. I mean, you can't get half the distance to the goal from 6 inches.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I loved that sequence. That was the best part of the game.
That was the only good part of the game.
I wanted it to happen 5 more times. I swear. I was like, do it again. Do it again. Do it again.
Yeah.
Because we were texting about it. I wanted so badly for them to make the refs give them the score to see who would actually get the score.
Who got credit for it?
Who got credit for it?
Right. The four of us immediately is like, what do you put in the box score? Touchdown. Like, who do you put down? Sirianni? Who gets credit for that?
Touchdown Eagles.
Coach?
Like, could you put like the backup long snapper in there to give him a score?
Right.
Like, I don't know.
And here's the sad thing is the first thing my mind went to is how does fantasy football take care of that?
Right.
They better get a rule for it.
Yeah.
Better get a rule for it.
You know me, I love to come up with analogies. The best thing I could think of, I didn't really have one, but other than when a goalie gets a penalty and some guy, like some teammate, he's like, well, why do I got to sit in the box for 2 minutes? Like when the goalie doesn't come off the ice, it's sort of like, well, who gets pinged in the, you're getting pinged for that, but like who gets credit for this touchdown that didn't exist?
I mean, I guess they'd have to give it to the center, right? Isn't he the guy holding the ball?
Right. Or another hockey analogy. The last guy, when a defense scores, on their own net, it's like, well, who was the last offensive guy to touch the ball? I guess the center. He was the last offensive guy to have his hand on the ball. I guess it goes to him.
Sure.
We were talking before coming on the air about Brady, and my son was a little bit bothered by Brady during this game, and I know the three of you guys said, Brady's okay, but the one thing they kept harping on was the goddamn center that's playing hurt and playing like shit. And they're making it sound like this guy's a warrior because he's out there stinking it up, and then he comes out of the game. Well, he gave it all he could. And I'm like, he's actually hurting his team in a playoff game. But they treated him like he was like Willis Reed or something, giving him emotional lift or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't have an issue with Brady. I mean, I know what you're saying. I do remember thinking that, but look, I think these guys are just looking for any narrative to talk about at all, and that game was pretty friggin' boring. So, other than the tush push thing, which was awesome, yeah, I don't know. It's a nondescript game. It was just a blowout and just a bad NFC Championship, and we got to watch these fucking Eagle fans with that stupid chant. Ugh.
Was it because it was Washington playing Philly? Did it, like, even when the game was competitive early on, did it not seem like an NFC Championship game to you guys? I made that comment like 3 times. I'm like, this doesn't have the feel. This just doesn't.
It was just
maybe
flat.
It's because it's 2 teams that are division teams or whatever. I don't know. It just didn't.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. If you think about the last year's NFC Championship, it seemed nothing like that, and that game wasn't great either. Well, actually, it was great. It was Detroit and San Francisco felt like it, so it felt like it. This did not.
Yeah. I don't know. And then, we're just speaking of Jaden Daniels for a moment with the Cam. The one part where, the guy, he had a great postseason, right? He's had a great season and a postseason. But then the one time, this is where my old school, kicks in. They cut the score. He rushed, he scrambled in, right? He scored on it was the third quarter to make it, whatever the score was. They were still down by 12, and he's fucking dancing and stuff in the end zone. I'm like, God, just get to the sidelines, just get
back to the huddle, because Quinn's going to go for 2. He's not going to kick the extra point.
Right. But I don't know. I mean, that has nothing to do with the game at all. It was just one of those things I just, had in my notes. So sort of like, again, just part of the whole, something about that entire game. Yeah, just everything rubbed me. It just didn't seem like an NFC Championship game. It just didn't. There was a bunch of million things that just didn't feel like old school football or something. It just didn't.
The Commanders had 3 of the worst timed turnovers I've ever seen. All 3 came at times when they were actually maybe making a bit of a move to get back in the game. And, Eckler's fumble was huge and Robinson's fumble was huge. I forget who the other one was, but it just felt like just when they were about to get back into it, they fumbled. Yeah. That was the frustrating part of that game, because you wanted a game, and then just seconds before they would do that every time.
Yep. Well, we learned a new strategy, right? You know how sometimes a defense will let a team score, right? And then the team, if they kind of sniff out that you're letting them score, maybe they take a knee, just jump off sides 106 times in a row. No time comes off the clock. The officials award the other team the score, and you get the ball back. I mean,
let's
do
true.
it.
I didn't think about that. I mean, that's a good point, Mike. That could happen, right?
Yeah, why not?
If and you get a free shot on players as you do it.
Yeah, you just jump off sides many times in a row until the official says, all right, that's it. We're giving them 6. All right, well, that's what we wanted anyway. So let's go. Tell them to kick it off.
I had not even put 2 and 2 together. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
That's great.
So in the other game, the Chiefs-Bills, the nightcap, the funny thing about this one, guys, is there were calls that were 50-50 calls that went against the Bills, but in the grand scheme of Chiefs games, this one wasn't as badly officiated as some. But I had to pull this stat out because there are people acting like, the Chiefs don't get the benefit of the calls. In the 8-game winning streak that the Chiefs have in the playoffs, other teams have been called for roughing the passer 6 times. The Chiefs 0.
Mm-hmm.
Other teams have been called for unnecessary roughness 5 times. The Chiefs once. And we saw it in this game. Travis Kelce gets touched, he flops to the ground, and of course a flag comes out. And here's another interesting part about this game. KC had 5 penalties for a total of 21 yards, which means they didn't even come to the average of a 5-yard penalty, which is the lowest penalty you can have that's established one. Their penalty total was 4-point-something yards.
Yeah.
So that means
they didn't average the minimum.
Yeah, they didn't even average the minimum you could have for a penalty.
No, I mean, I'd love to blame officials, and of course, anyone who says Kansas City's not getting some benefit is insane. Like, you're not watching. But Buffalo was not clean. They did not look sharp coming out. I thought they fought really hard to get back and take a lead in the game. But they didn't bring their A game to Kansas City, and you're just going to lose. You're just going to lose when that happens.
And of course, the Chiefs scored over 30 points for the first time this season. And we were talking before coming on. For me, the key play of this game was not the 4th down controversial call that he didn't make the line. To me, it was the play before where it looked like Kincaid made a first down clearly. They spotted the ball not only did they not give him the first down, they spotted the ball almost a yard and a half behind that, forcing that play to go for it. And replay was a strange thing in this game. I've harped on replay assist most of this year. There were two times in this game where the Chiefs had a ball spotted. It would have been like 2nd and 1, which actually I think 2nd and 1's probably preferable to having a first down in those situations. But they marked the ball a yard short. Replay assist came in and moved the ball forward a yard. And, Jim Nantz or whatever goes, oh, replay assist gives the Chiefs a first down here. Replay assist did not step in on Kincaid's play. It didn't step in on that controversial incomplete / interception that ended up being a reception. It didn't step in certain times. So I still don't know what replay assist is there to help. It apparently called a illegal formation on the Bills after the fact too. So it looks like replay assist can be used in a variety of different ways, none of which the NFL fans know.
No, they don't want us to know. We're not supposed to know. It's true. They don't want us to know. And Scott, I want to make a comment about also. I think if I heard this, I want to get this right. I may have to get fact checked on this, but I think during the pregame, I heard about the Chiefs. So this would make it the 12th straight, albeit just by one penalty, because Buffalo was flagged for 6, Kansas City had 5. That made it then the Chiefs committed less penalties than their opponent for the 12th straight playoff game. I don't know if you guys heard that. I think I heard that pregame that it was 11 straight games where they've committed less penalties than their opponent. Think about that. I mean, 5 is a lot. 12 straight playoff games, you're committing less penalties. How can that be? There's not a single game that you just don't have it. You know what I mean? Like you're false starting, you're going off sides or anything. Pick any penalty you want. Not one time in 12 straight playoff games. It's bullshit. It's just the law of averages tells you that it just seems impossible that should happen.
It is impossible.
And it fuels the narrative too. We heard the stat, what is it? They're 19 straight games that they've won in 1-score games or less. And of course Romo pipes up with, that's the championship medal. That is just the drive of a team that has the heart of a champion. Overlooking the fact that they basically lost against the Raiders and had that game completely taken from them. The Raiders did. So it's like things like that happen. A lot of the key calls that we've harped on this year have happened in that last minute of play that has completely turned the script and allowed the Chiefs to win.
It's almost like they have discussions with the Chiefs before the game, right? They go up to Mahomes, they're like, listen, we can't get you for passing or roughing the passer. It's clear that the world is onto this. I'll tell you what, we're going to hook you up on the spots. So just get close, and we'll get you back there. Like it's like they must tell them what's going on because the whole world saw what happened against Houston. That game was egregious. None of that happened this game. Mahomes ran right out of bounds, and it's almost like we'll get you somewhere else, guys. Don't worry, we got you.
Yeah.
With all of that said, I kind of agree with Mike. I don't know that I blame officiating for their loss. I think this game, in my opinion, came 100% down to coaching. Andy Reid is just a better coach. Yes, he gets official calls too and all of that, but I don't know what the hell the Bills were doing on a couple of spots. James Cook is gassing them all game long, lighting them up 5 yards a carry, and then in the biggest spot, they got Ty Johnson in there on the last drive. Like, someone explain to me why. Like, I don't understand. I know he's a third down back, fine, but James Cook is getting 6-7 yards on every carry. And then also I think they had, it was, when they were down by the goal line, they had like that 3rd and 3. You're going to throw a over the shoulder corner throw to, I forget who it was.
It was it was Coleman.
Yeah, why not have Josh Allen run to the right, James Cook, anything? Yes. Other than that, that's the worst play call I've ever seen, other than Marshawn Lynch.
Agreed. No, yeah. So you guys were saying, I was thinking about it too as I'm, doing, a recap today before we came on. I think Buffalo did execute. Like I think they played a pretty good game. They didn't turn the ball over.
No.
I think offensively, Allen did everything he possibly could. I agree. It was just in certain moments there, and that's all it takes to lose to this Kansas City Chiefs team. Because you have to overcome a million things by beating the Kansas City Chiefs. And We know that now. Everyone should know that. Like, you almost have to play perfect to beat the Chiefs. And I think the Bills came close to that, other than just some questionable, like you just brought up, Novak. You're right. I thought the same thing. They were doing a lot of good things, but that one pass play was a wasted down, right?
Yes.
The same thing.
It's not
going to
get completed.
No, and it's amazing. I was just watching the replay again. I'm still trying to wonder, and and poor Bill fans, man. I mean, it's weird. Like usually, how I always. I mean, I've advertised on this show or on this pod a million times my whole life. I love one team and I hate 31 other teams. The Bills, I think Novak, you may have asked a question years ago, like which team do you not despise? I'm like, kind of like Buffalo for some reason. And I still feel like that today. I was desperately rooting for Buffalo on Sunday. And when Kincaid, I'm still trying to figure out how Kincaid didn't catch that ball, because
I know.
You watch that play and you want to talk about guys in big moments, and we could talk about Josh, Mahomes, no doubt, but Josh Allen again played his ass off, and this guy and this Buffalo Bill team, I don't think they will ever win. I don't know if they'll ever get back to the Super Bowl, and they'll never win it ever again. I don't think this team will ever win. I can't imagine being a Bill fan.
They won't.
Yeah.
The Chiefs own them. They are their bitch. They just are. And even on that, after the Kincaid, which he did have a first down, 2 series before, Josh Allen jumped over the top, no problem, and got a yard. Well, why did he not do that on that 4th down? Why did he go into the line? Jump over the top like he did the last time.
I think, Novak, I would say my only thought there was maybe because he lost the ball when he went over the pile. If you remember, he lost the ball.
He did.
So when that last 4th down play, you saw, I can't do it because I got my arm in a sling, but he had both hands wrapped around the ball. And I swear, I think that prevented that extra maybe 2 inches of getting the first down, because he was not going to let the ball get away from his body to extend like he did the first, because that ball did come out on the one before that. So if you look at Allen again on that play, he's protecting the ball. But I telling you, man, we said it on the text thread. If that's what I can't stand about this fucking league, and the subjectivity and the officials, and especially the spotting of the ball, if that's week 3 and it's September, that is a first down. That's a first
100%.
down.
Yes.
100 out of 100 times. That's a fucking first down in week 3.
Come on.
You're right, Mike.
Come on.
That's a move the chains. That's like looking at the chain gang, like, let's go. Let's move. It's a first down. Yeah.
It's a first down if you go with where the one guy spotted the ball too, who somehow decided he'd pull his foot back in a couple yards closer to the other direction.
If you notice, again, I saw a number of different, takes on that. And one video I saw, I go, look how the ref all of a sudden he starts walking diagonally. He's walking a straight down, furthermore, Varnick, on that particular first down, that's one of those where it's right on the stripe. It's not in between some hash marks where you're guessing kind of which blade of grass it was. That was one where you easily said the first down, the yellow line is on the stripe. I think it was the 50-yard line. Was it midfield, I think, or what? I can't remember the yard line, but it doesn't matter.
It was like the 40.
And that was one where you didn't need even the assistance of a mysterious spot. That was like he made that line. He got there. And I'm telling you guys, you watch the next time you see that in September next year, and there'll be a play just like it, and it'll be like, oh, there's the first down that Josh Allen wasn't able to, that wasn't gifted, not gifted, but just wasn't given. In the AFC Championship game. So that's the story right there.
Yep. So we now have a long 2-week wait, hype that none of us want to sit through. We're going to have to listen to Jason Kelsey now talk about whether or not he wants the Bill or the Eagles or the Chiefs, because he's got such a loyalty to both. We're just going to have to be subjected to probably more Taylor Swift footage, everything. It's just what do you think about the preview of this game?
I want 2 weeks to be over so fast. I really do. Like, just be done already. I have to sit through this garbage for 2 weeks.
No, it's the worst case scenario, man. It's everything that we already know comes with the Chiefs, because we've all seen it over the past handful of years. And then now you add it, because now, right, at least if it was Washington, you wouldn't have to hear the Giants associated with it. But, now for this 2 weeks, you got to hear the Giants brought in because, Barkley So you got to hear that. The Kelsey angles one I hadn't even thought of yet, for crying out loud. We're going to have to, he's associated with both teams. I mean, I hadn't even put that one on my radar yet.
It's so funny you just did it, Mike. I was thinking the same thing. As soon as those words came out of Scott's mouth, I'm like, oh shit, saying to myself, like I didn't, I forgot, I forgot about that.
I didn't either.
Yep.
Forgot about it. Yeah.
Now we get to hear him asked, which team are you rooting for? 6,000 times between now and the end of the.
He's probably going to pull out some like half jersey with both teams, one of those bullshit things. Like, you can see that.
Of course.
Or like the first half he'll have the Eagle jersey on, second half he'll have the Chief jersey on. He's going to pull one of those bullshit things. Oh,
I don't think I can. I can't watch it. I can't watch it, and I can't watch a second of coverage. I'll be the pop culture guy on the next podcast, but I got nothing. I want nothing to do with this.
I just bought a couple weeks ago. They had pork country ribs on sale, a big pack of them. And I said, you know what? This time I'm going to make chili with the pork country ribs cooked down so that they basically are just falling off into the chili. And I said, this is going to be great. I don't even want to have, I don't want to have people over for the Super Bowl or do anything like that anymore. I just want to, might as well let them sit in my freezer for a while.
I had a pet peeve earlier this year on Philadelphia, if you remember. Like how much I hate Philadelphia. I hate Philadelphia, the city, the sports, everything I hate about Philadelphia. And that's pretty deep, right? I don't like any Philadelphia team, never have, never will. I think I'm rooting for the Eagles. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah. I loathe the Kansas City Chiefs and all that surrounds this team. I do. And I think it gun to my head, I think I can't sit through another stupid Lamar Hunt trophy, that other Hunt guy with the same thing he says every year, and Travis Kelce with the you got to fight for your right, or let's get down tonight, or what the hell he was saying, and Taylor Swift. I can't do it. I'm tired of it. Enough. They're annoying as hell.
Yeah.
By birthright, I have to root against the Eagles. It's just
you guys have to. I get that.
I have to.
I don't think I can. I can't root for this Chiefs.
Novak, I don't blame you one bit. In fact, I even said before going on, I said, I'm sure Novak will pull for Philly because of the Chief factor, and it's not the Dolphins, and it's not if it was the other way around.
Yeah,
so I know,
totally.
and if anybody can relate to this, we know exactly what you're saying. And I was expecting you to say that you have to pull for the Eagles. You have to.
You know what's
let me restate that. I'm not pulling for the Eagles.
Well, okay.
But
You're
out of no other choice that I just have to pick one. I guess I'll root for them because I just can't take the Chiefs. I'm so sick of them.
Nah, of course.
You know what's sickening again too? This happened a couple years ago. Imagine you're a New York fan. You've just watched the Eagles and the Redskins play in the championship game. You're sick to your stomach. You're in New York City. You go to bed. You look out your window, and the Empire State Building's glaring green. Why would New York ever kowtow to Philadelphia that way? Why do they even need to color the Empire State Building? I don't get it. I don't understand why that would be a thing for anyone that's not a New York team.
No, fuck that.
It's just that's just how do you do that?
I have no comment. I don't know.
If I could script how this game is going to end in my perfect world, the Chiefs they're going to be tied with the Chiefs with the ball with like 10 seconds left driving down the field. Mahomes is going to drop back and Kelce gets lit up and drops a pass and the Eagles pick it up and run it for a touchdown. That's what I want. That's the perfect ending for me. Kelce gets lit up and fumbles.
They're going to call an illegal, unnecessary roughness on the hit to lit them up, and it'll be the Chiefs' ball at the one, and they'll kick a field goal and win.
Well, now that we know officials can just award touchdowns, I guess that's just the next step for Kansas City.
So, Mike, I know I went 0-2 last week, but it's predictions time, I guess, for the Super Bowl.
Wah. Super Bowl predictions.
Or we can wait till next week. I don't know what you guys want to do.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. You guys want another week to mull over this. I'll tell you right now, we're all separated by a game. Cardone 8-4, Novak 7-5, Mike 6-6, Scott 5-7. So there we are. Scott picked Washington. The rest of us picked Philly. And then Cardone and Novak picked Kansas City. And for some reason, Scott and I thought Buffalo was going to win handily. We both gave handle Kansas City scores. That
Handle
seems a bit outrageous at this point. But yeah, if you guys want to do the Super Bowl, let's go ahead, and then we'll revisit next week and see if anyone wants to change. Cardone, you be up.
Oh man, I've been mulling this over, and it's either again we this is what we know to be the reality here: a Chiefs three-peat, or the Eagles and Barkley getting a championship. And again, there's no I don't know how to break this down other than it's funny. I joke around, I'm like, this is really, it's about, if I'm going to make this about me and my misery and my loserville in terms of my sports fandom and all that, right? So take New York, take all our teams and throw them in one big blender. And so I've got to go. I'm picking the Eagles. I'm picking the Eagles to win because this Barkley run is unstoppable. It's unstoppable since week one. When he tore apart Green Bay in week one down in goddamn Brazil or something, whatever it was, we all knew. We predicted this in the preseason. And we can go further back. We can say, I can remember a season or so ago, when Barkley was still wearing giant blue. Imagine this guy behind a real offensive line, and I know that we kicked it around and said, we were on the fence too. We're like, well, shit, you can't, pay this guy, everything, and you can't build around. It's not about a running back and all that stuff. But this guy we knew the talent, we knew the game-changing capability that Saquon Barkley brings, and kudos to the fucking Philadelphia Eagles for signing this guy away. I sent you guys like a Twitter post today, one that was sent to me, about that, and I don't know if we want to get into that at all, but just around Barkley, just the whole. You know what? Barkley wanted to go play for a winner, and he's on one, and he's going to get a championship. I'm taking the Philadelphia Eagles. Where I stand with that, but I got them 27-21. Again, it's going to be like a medium score kind of game. I don't see a ton of points, but I see. I just see if this Philly team does not turn the ball over. I don't see them turning the ball over again. I know Kansas City's defense is better than Washington's, and then it's better than Green Bay's, as far as the Philly's run to the Super Bowl here. I just think that I think it's more about Barkley just not being denied for some reason. Forget all about the X's and O's. I think it's just our misery comes with a Saquon Barkley Super Bowl championship, and he gets it in his first year with the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles win. They get their second Super Bowl championship.
And he's the MVP.
And he will be, because they won't throw the ball more than Hurts actually had good numbers. I mean, he was getting knocked a little bit for conservativeness and that. I looked at the box score. Hurts had good numbers against Washington. So, but yeah, I think this game is about that offensive line, that running game, Saquon Barkley. Yeah, that's a good call. I don't know what the odds are on Barkley being an MVP, because running backs don't get MVPs in Super Bowls anymore, but that's a good call, Novak. I hadn't thought about, MVPs and stuff, but I'm just going against this unstoppable tidal wave against the New York Giants franchise, and that means the Philadelphia Eagle championship.
Speaking of things put on our text string that were like videos and stuff, if you had given me like 22 guesses on who Liam Cohn is, I'd have no idea who the fuck this guy is. He's the new Jaguars coach, and Novak sent us a video of him doing his best Duval impression.
God, I hope that wasn't his best one. Good Lord.
Let me tell you something. That was the best thing I've seen, because all I kept thinking was, at least I'm not that. Like, I at least got a decent coach. I don't have that clown.
That was such a good video. Like, for me to laugh about anything NFL related this week, like, that had me laughing for like a while. So that was
same.
That's how bad that video was.
Have any of you guys heard of Liam Cohn before this?
No.
Never.
I didn't even know he was announced as their coach. I had no.
No, I didn't hear it either.
Novak sent this thing over. I'm like, who's this guy? He's a coach? He's the head coach? Wait a minute. Is this Dave Canales?
They fired the GM for him.
And he said it like a question mark. He's like, Duval?
Yeah, Duval. It's like, what am I? Is that right? Yeah.
Right. It's
Now,
What player is running through a wall for that guy?
yeah. It sounds like someone I'd want to be like if I got accused of a crime. Mr. Hisman, here's your attorney, Mr. Liam Cohn. I'd be like, yes. All right. This guy's going to get me off. This guy's a good lawyer. I'm sure he's a good tax accountant.
I've always loved the running through a wall reference.
Right?
Who's running through a wall for this guy? All right. Anyway, Novak.
I'm up. Well, since I'm a game behind Cardone, I would imagine that, if we tie at the end, the winner's got to go to whoever picks the Super Bowl winner. Thus,
All right. New rule.
So I would say, so honestly, though, I was going to pick them anyway. For me, when it comes, I think these two teams are very, very evenly matched. And I was really struggling with who's the better team. So when teams are this evenly matched, which I believe that they are, I tend to defer to who's the best unit coach, and Spagnuolo by far is that. So I think that he goes into this game with a game plan to stop Barkley, like the Commanders could not do, but I think Spagnuolo will be able to do that. He's gonna dare Hurts to beat him, and I think they will contain that passing offense quite a bit. So I don't think Barkley's going to have a big game. I don't think he's going to win the MVP. And I also think that the NFL so badly wants this three-peat and the Hunt up there and Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce and the whole thing. I just, with the confetti and all of that. So it's going to happen. So because of that, I think the Chiefs win this handily, actually, 31-17.
All right. I like what both of you said there. So with that said, I'm going to abstain. I'm not picking this game.
You can't make first place, so you just.
I'm gonna take the 0. I'm I'm not picking the game. No, hate it. So Scott's up.
So when I look at this game, I look at all the things that Novak just pointed out too, and to me, Steve Spagnuolo is probably, Giant fans lamented losing Belichick years ago. They really should lament losing Spagnuolo. I don't know if he was ready to be a head coach because, he went to the Rams and wasn't a great head coach that first time, but the guy is a master defensive coordinator, and he's proven that time and again. He, for the most part, they shut Buffalo down. And when Buffalo did make plays, they were contested plays. On that fourth down play, he completely fooled Josh Allen, and I think Novak was right when he said that the Bills were outcoached in that game. And I cannot see a scenario where the NFL allows the Chiefs not to win this game. I don't think it'll be egregious. I just think it'll be that the Chiefs are destined. We'll hear about destiny. We'll hear about the champion spirit. We'll hear about all these things about Patrick Mahomes, being a first ballot Hall of Famer if he retires tomorrow. We'll hear all of that. And I just don't see the Chiefs being denied. And I don't really see this coming down to the end. I think that, there could be a likely scenario where Barkley goes out in the first quarter injured. I'll just throw that out there. But I think the Chiefs win this game 27-17.
So you didn't pick an NFC East Super Bowl champion. That's a shocker, too.
What? Scott picked against the NFC East at every opportunity he could, except for the one he couldn't.
He didn't abstain like you did last week, and he could have.
Yeah.
Should have abstained during that game. I got it wrong anyway.
Yep.
I predicted it. I felt like I was going to be on an island with Philly, and I am. So, yeah.
If I weren't abstaining, I would more than likely pick Philly, I think. But did you guys know Spagnuolo means it's an Italian last name and it means from Spain? So Steve's name is Steve from Spain.
Steve from Spain.
Sounds like a call to a radio show.
Steve from Spain.
I had no idea.
For some reason, I just had Larry King's voice in my head. Steve from Spain.
Steve from Spain. Go ahead.
So after watching both the Chiefs and Eagles win, a lot of people rightfully pulled their hair out. But for those that still have some, do the right thing and get some rugged uncle. Make the right call to go with Wagyu beef tallow. You'll be head and shoulders above the refs who have worked the Chiefs games this year. So go to ruggeduncle.com and get a tin. Give you something to look forward to in the next 2 weeks while everyone else is not looking forward to the game. So use code AngryFans to get a discount and try Rugged Uncle, guys. We've been pumping it all year. One thing we also have to mention too is our other sponsor, Carolina Beer Temple. They are moving locations, so we will have some exciting news about working with them, possibly in the off season and in the preseason. So keep on the lookout for that.
Yep, they're moving to a bigger space. They'll have more going on. They'll have all kinds of stuff. Excited about it. We're working on a few things. Might be more than just the live pod. So more to come in the future. But that's a good partnership too. We're excited to kick that off in later this year.
That's really exciting.
Next year we should have the Rugged Uncle Rugged Player of the Week for the Jets and Giants. Get a
That's actually a great idea.
That is a really good idea.
I love it, Mike.
The Rugged Player of the Week.
I'm running out of ways to do creative plugs, so doing the Rugged Uncle Player would be great.
The Rugged Uncle Player or Play of the Week, whichever you guys want to do. We are allowed to abstain from that too if our team's 0-7. And so there's no rugged people out there. Nothing.
Travis Kelce has to be using Rugged Uncle because he now has perfected somehow a male hair flip. Have you seen this on the sidelines now? Yeah. The camera just in perfect time when during the national anthem when the cameraman comes over and he's doing a hair flip. Like he's some pop singer.
By the way, during the national anthem, does the one chief guy he tell the camera guy to sit right on him because he's going to cry on cue when the national anthem's playing?
Jones?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a guy with pepper spray right off the camera. You can't see him. It's like a set of a movie. Fake sweat, fake tears, whatever. There's a prop guy right there.
Well, don't forget we got the Sirianni Super Bowl ritual. Remember, he does that before he has a ritual before every Super Bowl.
You bet.
You remember this, right? The one that he's been in?
Yeah, he cries. All right, pet peeves. I'll start with Mikey since he abstained from the voting. I got to put him on the spot.
Put me right back on the spot. Well, I know this is just a repeat pet peeve, but I just want another opportunity to talk about it. This and it's gone. Remember last year the analytics stuff and the going for it on fourth down. Remember it backed off in the playoffs a little bit last year. We kind of thought, it hasn't backed off this year. That's for damn sure. And guys, I am so tired of sitting here watching coaches lose their team's games for this, and then the other coach let them back in the game by doing the same shit. I don't even care who the Giants coach is next year. I don't. We have to find a way to stop this. It is, if someone would just stop it. I mean, look at these games. If Houston had just played straight up against Kansas City, if Buffalo had played, I can't even begin to tell you how angry. I think you can see it on the text thread during the game, but I just can't even stand it. And the thing I hate most about it, and again, this is all repeat stuff. I know. I just wanted another chance to vent on it. But the thing I can't stand the most about it is how they just get away with it. And reporters don't even ask them anymore after the game. What was your thinking on going for that there? What was your thinking on not punting in that situation?
Yes.
It's just fucking accepted. Yep. And it is absolutely game changing. I know I gave the example last week about how, your defense got a 3 and out after you went for it, so you're saved. No, it changed the entire fourth quarter of that game. And if there's anything that the Giants, if the Giants are a talent bereft team, which we know they are, if they're looking for something this offseason, how can we be different? What can we do differently? Well, you know what? You don't have to be innovative. You have to go back in time about 30 years and see how these coaches coached mediocre and bad teams back then and how they kept teams in games. and how they were able to manufacture points. Small ball in football, manufacture points, keep ahead of the chains, keep ahead of field position. Nobody is paying attention to that shit anymore. And it's not like everyone in the history of NFL up until 2 years ago was wrong. That is right. Just because people are calling this shit out does not mean that it's right. It's wrong. It's ineffective. And if anybody in this league could stop just being a copycat motherfucker who is afraid, who used to be afraid for their job, but now feels like, man, it's going to be worse for me if I punt this and the other team gets the ball and doesn't give it back to me than it is going to be if I go for it and miss it. Because if I go for it and don't get it, no one's going to say crap. But if I try to be conservative and we lose, I'm going to get my face tore off for this game. So if the Giants are any team listening, you'll be my favorite team. If you want to be different, go back to small ball. It's the best thing in the world. If no one else is doing it, then it gives you the advantage. Please, somebody, Dable, if you're the guy, please stop it.
I just want to point out too, Dan Quinn has gotten universally lauded for the way he's coached this year with the fourth downs. He had a game where he made multiple fourth downs. He did a fake punt that was successful. He kept going for 2 after scoring touchdowns, and yet they still got their asses blown out.
Yeah. The dude refuses to play field position. How did the Giants beat the Buffalo Bills in 1990? Did they do it by going for it on every fourth down? Did they do it by saying field goals are no good today, boys?
Yeah.
No. And by the way, one more quick pet peeve. Bill Cowher is finished. He says the same thing every week. Every week, field goals aren't going to win this one. I can't. I'm so glad the season's over. Are we doing one of these next week, by the way? Are we?
I think we need to probably talk about that after this podcast.
Jesus.
I don't know.
I'm done. Mike out.
Mike
there
Cardone,
there might be enough material just from the Super Bowl week where we would have pet peeves and everything else created. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Mike touched on the reason why I think, and again, this is why if I can just pile on your peeve there, Mike, I think it's really, I think what grinds our axes the most is that these coaches, no one is even comments on it anymore. No one in the booth, no one after the game. I was barking at that chop. Was it Chris Washburn, who's now like the dude doing the halftime interviews, whatever? When McDermott took the fucking point off the board and then decided to go for 2 and didn't get it.
Yep.
Going to halftime or whatever it was, where I think it was because I think that was still second quarter, I think, right? 21-16 or whatever. Washburn's asking him something about how are you going to stop I go, how about asking him about the fucking point he took off the board, Washburn? How about asking that question? How about we come up with something like that's actually like meaningful in the game? You're talking about points taking off the board. Like, that's a more important question. How are you going to stop Patrick Mahomes?
You're so right. Here's the other thing too. Think about it. So the Chiefs, the Bills lost 32-29, right? Yeah. What if that game is 32-30 on that last drive? You don't think the Chiefs play defense a little bit differently, knowing they could lose? In their back pocket, they think, okay, they get a field goal, they tie. I'm not saying that it doesn't change, but it may. So a point does make a difference, even though the people say, well, it didn't matter. They won by 3. I disagree. I think everything changes if it's a 2-point game versus a 3-point game.
Everything changes. Everything changes. And they always talk about risk reward, right?
Totally.
So what did the Bills do there? They gambled a point to gain what? Another point.
Yeah.
That is not risk reward. Take your point and go. It's oh my God. It is
points on the board and he takes it.
Took it right off.
That used to be. Remember the cardinal sin back in the day, like like that. You never ever took points off the board. If you did, you were absolutely. It was fireable. It was a fireable offense.
Yep. The football gods would take care of that.
Yep.
Mike talked about imagination and creativity, and these guys are being lauded for it. but they're all doing the same thing. If there's a penalty now on an extra point try, they all go, "Oh, wait a minute. We're gonna go for two from the one." Why does going for two from the 1 yard line make it any better? We've watched the Giants. The Giants can't get in from the 1 yard line if you give them three cracks sometimes. So why do we think this is a gimme now when you do that? Just take your point and move on. And that to me, as much as the fourth downs bother me, I understand, if you're at the 40 and it's 4th and 5, yeah, I could see you going for it because if you get it, you're going to get points. If you punt, maybe it goes in the end zone, you gain 20 yards out of it. But what drives me more crazy are these guys that are going for two like in the second quarter when they don't even need to.
No.
And they don't realize the multiplier that has going into the fourth quarter. If you go for two and don't get it, and you're down now by 4 or something, you're not within a field goal. Or even if you're down by 2, the other team scores a touchdown and kicks the extra point, you're now down by 2 scores. So I don't get the math behind it.
And they're never asked. They're never asked about it in the post game or at any point. Never. Hey, coach, what was the decision? Like, it was a second quarter. Do you think that you're done? Like, was there any chance that you think you might get stopped? A 2-point conversion, coach. I think the percentage of conversion now is down to like 44% league wide. Is that a better, like someone just like throw out, like put the guy on the spot. I would love to hear the answer.
Yeah. It's
2-point conversion. I think it's 44%. People think, I don't know why we think it's like 75, 80% successful. It's not. It's not even half. It's not even 50%.
Yep.
That's math, Cardone. Why are you using math?
You get Washington, who goes for it on 4th down. Then immediately they're in another 4th down, and they go for it again, and they get it. And then they kick a field goal anyway. So it's
it's a 21-yard. It's a 21-play drive that ends up in a field goal.
I mean, they're faking punts and then punting. It's like, they're just doing shit to do it. It's infuriating. And it doesn't seem to cost good teams games, which is really part of what's pissing me off. Now, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and I get a penalty on the extra point that puts me at the 1 or inside the 1, I'm probably going to go for 2 because I've got a play in my back pocket that works about 90% of the time. Yeah. But if I'm almost any other team, you know what? Have them kick it off from further back. I will take my point.
No one takes that option anymore. I love when the teams can pin each other back, because they can kick 15 yards ahead of the game. They used to be huge back in the day.
Oh yeah.
When's the last time we've ever even heard it? Remember, announcers, one of their big things used to be like, if you got the ball inside the 10 and you got 2 first downs and kind of got it out to your own 40 or 35, they'd be like, this is already a successful drive.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're changing field position. Remember, when does any announcer ever say something that insightful these days? Never. You never hear that.
It's gone.
So I'll go next on the pet peeves. First, I have 2. One's a real quick one, and this just bothers me because it seems like just a loss of money or time. Have you ever been? I might be the only schmuck that's ever done this. Have you ever been at the gas tank and you pull the pump out and the hose accidentally hits like the super premium, and that's what you're stuck with pumping. So you're like, what the fuck is this? You can't go back and change it.
You can't cancel it.
You can only cancel it by going back into the station. So I'm like, fuck. I'll take the extra 30 cents, just put $10 in or whatever, and that's it. Am I the one? I might be the only one that's ever happened to.
I've never heard of it. I know when I'd put in like 2 cents and then
cancel it. Yeah. And then stop and then start over again.
I mean,
that's actually a good way to do it.
Do you miss the toilet a lot too, or what? You can't handle it?
Can't handle the cord.
Yeah, right.
I would think a lot of force to have the hose knock the button down. Like, how violently are you grabbing the handle?
Very angry gas pumping.
Damn car needs gas again.
All right, I'll get to my main pet peeve. That one just set me up. so I'm going to go back to the Bills game, and there's a play where Josh Allen drops back to pass, and there's a flag on the field for defensive holding. I don't know whether he saw it or not, but he threw the ball downfield trying to make a play, and it was an incomplete pass. And Romo unbelievably asks why Allen threw a ball downfield and put it in such peril. And he's like, it's not like he saw that the flag was down or anything like that. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is Josh Allen, an MVP candidate. If the field was flipped and Patrick Mahomes made that same exact play, Tony Romo would be like, can you believe the awareness of Mahomes? See that the flag was there and he could just throw the ball downfield trying to get a touchdown. These guys write these scripts, and when the play just doesn't follow the script, they don't know what to do. I can't believe, first off, Josh Allen is known as a gunslinger anyway. He's not averse to putting the ball in harm's way. So why was Romo so incredulous on that play? It sort of took me aback.
I think you nailed it because it's not Pat Mahomes.
Exactly.
I mean, that's pretty.
But it's Josh.
It is
Josh Allen, though.
But he's not Pat Mahomes. I mean, going back to it.
Wasn't that on third down anyway?
I don't know if it was third or second down.
I just remember thinking it was an odd thing to say at the time when Romo said it, especially when they went back and showed Josh Allen like pointing at the hold before he threw the ball. I kind of feel like maybe he knew he had a free play there, but you're right. I mean, if Mahomes throws that ball, the commentator is throwing that where only his guy can get it, or just he's saying something. He is. By the way, if it's third down, I mean, if that gets intercepted, they've got the ball at like the 1 inch line, right? So, who cares? But, I don't know if it was third down or not, but I noticed it too, Scott. I thought it was an odd thing to call out Josh Allen for.
I just feel like Tony Romo had a couple agendas that game too. Like there was a play, if you remember the Mahomes play where he took it was a sweep where he just took the ball in and scored it. I think it was his second touchdown. And Romo immediately goes, what a gutsy call by Andy Reid there. And I'm thinking, it's a first down play. You're running your quarterback basically on a bootleg.
Yeah.
How is that gutsy? It's been working all game. I don't get why that's a gutsy call. It's not like it's 4th down and 5 and you're rolling them out to get the touchdown that's needed.
What's so risky? What about that?
By the way, have there ever been two easier plays than the two plays Kansas City ran on third down to run the clock out in the game?
No.
Why not run that the entire? That is apparently it's completely unstoppable. I don't know why you wouldn't run it on every third down.
There has to be something about a professional defense that does not account for a back coming right out of the backfield. Usually it's against the Giants. And we've said that for years. Like we're watching the back just flare out to the side, and for some reason the Giants ignore them for years.
No one goes with them. Yeah.
It's like it's the easiest throw in the book.
Yeah. By the way, Mahomes could have ran for both of those. He threw both. He didn't have to. It was just too easy. It was just so easy that it pissed me off.
Yeah, there's no chance Buffalo's getting that ball. Yeah, just to make it even somewhat hope at the end of the game. So I thought about this one, and I like to notice things that maybe aren't the most obvious, on the NFL landscape. And I'm starting to see this trend, and I saw one instance in each game on Sunday, and I'm referring to, I think what the NFL has done has taken away the simultaneous offsetting unnecessary roughness penalties, because I think most fans would say, because we all have been guilty of saying that, like, well, why bother doing that? There's, like personal foul, Novak for grabbing the face mask, personal foul, cost and his man. So like it's all that cancels out, and it's like, why even bother doing that? But what that does now, I saw 2 fucking plays in one in each game where it's if you remember in the Philly game, Hurts had that 1 yard rush. There was AJ Brown and Lattimore were barking at each other on that entire like drive. And eventually on the touchdown, I see AJ Brown is the one, like, to the point where ripping Lattimore's helmet off by the time he got into the end zone, and somehow there's only an unnecessary roughness on Lattimore. So I'm like, well, how is the guy had his helmet ripped off? I don't remember Lattimore like doing anything to cause his own helmet to come off. So how is there, like, that's the one where, like, I'll take the simultaneous. I have no problem sitting at home hearing the ref do methodically go through each thing. Why not? Why give the advantage to either one of those guys when it looked like Brown was more of the perpetrator on that call? And then the second one, I think was worse, was when Mahomes did the scramble from 10 yards out. Damar Hamlin, who came up at the by the goal line there, Hamlin sucks, by the way. He actually started to tackle Mahomes before he actually was breaking the plane, or simultaneously. So the tackle then looks late because by the time he got into the ground, it was 3 yards in the end zone. And for some reason, Travis Kelce's allowed to just come over from 20 yards away and be jawing in Damar Hamlin's face, if you guys remember that. And then Phillips comes over to protect his teammate or stand, to defend his guy, hits, Kelce in the face mask. He does a flop fucking thing. And next thing, and there's only an unnecessary roughness on Phillips. Well, how does Kelce get away with jawing at the guy? Give me the offsetting penalties, one on each guy. So where did that go? Have you noticed? I started to think about that. I haven't seen that called like maybe all year. The NFL's decided, we're just going to get rid of that. We're just going to call it on one guy. Let's just give it to the home teams, I guess, or let's give it to the Chiefs and the Eagles because that's really who we want to win the game. So we're not going to do. I think they think that they're wasting the audience's time by calling an offsetting penalty. I don't know. Have you guys? Like, correct me on that one, guys. Have you, like, I don't recall now all year. Like that has gone away.
Never. It has.
It almost
gone away.
But you're right. You're absolutely right, Cardone.
And it always goes against the team that seems like they get the shaft. So, it's funny. I was thinking about that same thing with Lattimore, because not only did Lattimore have his helmet ripped off, but the announcer, I think it was Tom Brady at the time, said,
it was Brady.
Well, whenever a helmet gets ripped off, there's going to be a penalty. Yes, but it wasn't against the guy that ripped the helmet off.
No, that's when Bellinger got called for a face mask against Dallas on a Thursday night, and it went against. He got face masked, and he was called for the penalty. Same shit. But I want to know how Travis Kelce's allowed to come over. So explain to me how that's a sportsmanlike move that Kelce's doing. He didn't come over to high five his teammate Patrick Mahomes after scoring a touchdown. He's jawing in Hamlin's face. Like, what? Why? Why is it allowed? Fuck you, Kelce. That should be at minimum. Like Phillips, again, he did come over and smash him in that face mask. I want the offsetting penalty there. Why is Kelce allowed to get away with that? It's wrong.
Yeah.
It's just wrong.
Yeah.
And I swear, I think it's the NFL's another one of their attempts to be like, it's the same thing about not bringing out the chains. It's the same thing of rolling the clock, move the ball. We can't slow down the game. God forbid we have a moment here where, because we would say that, right? People, the reaction was usually like, why bother calling the offsetting penalties? But you can't. In most cases, yes, it does apply. But when it's egregious like that, when you allow the first guy to just do, it's just wrong, man. You got to call at least something. If anything, I want to see the penalties I don't want to see the retaliation penalty anymore. I want to go to a replay and replay assist and say, you know what? We're not giving the penalty on the guy. The guy was just retaliating because the first guy was the one who started this shit. It's always the second guy. And we know I'm tired of that. The NFL should be like, you know what? We're penalizing the first guy. We're going to go back and look at the video to make sure we get this right. Stop penalizing the second guy.
You'd have to
totally.
define
Right on.
replay assist better for that than.
I mean, you're right. You're right. I can't remember an offsetting.
It's gone.
It is gone. I didn't
Gone.
think of it until you said it, but you're right.
I started I really didn't notice it until those two particular plays. It just so happened there were two of them, and ironically they were both on touchdowns, and in both cases it was the offensive, it was the team that scored starting each one, and the defender's just there. What do you want the defender to do? You're just going to allow Travis Kelce to yuck it up in the guy's face? No, man. That's just
and go
ahead, Mike.
No, it's you, Cardone. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying. I was just going to probably say, repeat myself. Just saying again, you're just letting that guy get away with it for whatever reason. Like, why? I don't understand the instigator guy. They need to clean that up or fix it up. But the NFL, no question, has someone decided we're doing away with the offsetting unnecessary roughness penalties because it just doesn't. It stalls the game. Nothing happens on the field with it, but you still need to have it because you can't just penalize the second guy. You can't.
Yeah, I love the idea of looking at who started it. I love that idea. I don't know if you guys noticed in the Eagle game too, the A.J. Brown caught a pass to the sideline. Good catch. Got 2 feet down, stands up over the defender and just glaring down at him, and then signals first down. And then nothing. Nothing for that.
That's not taunting.
Yeah.
Who did the game with Brady? Was it Brenneman?
No,
it's Tom Brenneman.
Little
it's
baby
Burkhardt,
KK.
isn't it?
It's Kevin Burkhardt.
Yeah,
Burkhardt.
Yeah.
So Burkhardt in that game made a couple of faux pas.
He had a bunch actually. He did.
What's that?
He had a bunch of mistakes in that game.
Yeah, he did. No, he did. But the one I was going to point out was after he I think it was him, not Brady, that was talking about the helmet being ripped off, and saying that, oh, well, look, a guy gets his helmet ripped off, they're always going to call that, and it didn't get called. And there was another point in that game where he said something, and I just shook my head. I just had what I was going to say before that. I lost it, so I'm going to go to Novak for his pet peeve, and I'll come back because I'll remember what I was thinking about with first off, I was thinking it was Tom Brenneman for some reason. Isn't Tom Brenneman the guy that got kicked off
from the Reds that got kicked off?
He got kicked off.
Wrong sport, wrong era, wrong decade.
Doesn't he spell it THOM? Isn't that
Thom?
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah. Thom. Yeah.
So Novak, you got Anchorman this week for pet peeves.
And I don't really have a great one, but mine is going to be around a couple of phrases that are starting to really irk me. I told you guys about the one that I'm gonna bring it out here. And Patrick Mahomes is the worst at it. He's getting these interviews from these sideline reporters. He's got to end every interview with "appreciate you." Bullshit. You don't appreciate her at all. Stop it. It doesn't make you cool. It doesn't make you nice. It doesn't make people like you. You don't appreciate Tracy Wolfson for shit. So just stop saying "appreciate you" as you walk away, because you don't. Just a liar. The other one is going to be these guys that get interviewed by the sideline reporters, and they got to say "man" for everything. I'll tell you, man, she's a woman. She's not a man. Stop saying man. Like, they all do it. All of them. You notice it. And it's 100 times.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm at a male-female thing tonight. I don't know why, but it bothered me. Everyone's got to say man. I'm not talking to a man. Stop it. And then the last one is another one. But this is not interviews. This is like, and I heard this a lot because of Aaron Glenn. As I've said, I was not thrilled with him being the hire, but I actually kind of liked him through his interview, and he's a Jet. Great. I have my hopes up yet again, but they'll be dashed soon. But the thing that it's the new phrase now that they do to define a new coach. He's a leader of men. What does that mean? Leader of men. What are all the other coaches? Leader of women? Like, what? Like, I don't. What? Explain to me what a leader of men means. You're a coach. Yes, you're a leader. They're men. Coincidentally, a leader of men. Like, I don't understand. But why is this now a thing that everyone has to define someone as they're going to be a great coach because they're a leader of men? You guys know what that means? Tell me, because I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know. They don't know. No one knows.
No, of course not. But it's then they find these phrases that they just stick to, and then everyone has to say it. It's like, in basketball, and they say he's got length. What? Yes, he's 7'2". Of course he's got length.
The length one is one that always gets me. It's like, everyone in basketball that's a forward or above is 6'9" or to over 7 foot. So yeah.
I know what you mean, Novak. There's a couple, like, just in the sports world, right? There's two that just came to my head. One, prisoner of the moment. I can't stand that one. Yeah. And then presence of mind. I love that. That's another one where, like, Allen had the presence of mind to cover up the ball as he was being tackled. Presence of mind. Someone came up with that and like, ooh, that sounds really clever. I'm just gonna continue to say that.
Presence of
Four
mind is the
times a
one
week
in,
for the next 100 years.
oh yeah. Presence of mind in basketball is the one where they have the presence of mind to throw it off of the other player for out of bounds. That's
Right.
it's always used there.
You guys hit the nail on the head last week, though. How many times did we hear the word poise used this week?
Oh,
My God.
Ah,
For Daniels, it was every quarter, at least once or twice.
yeah.
Even when they'd show him on the bench, oh, look at the poise of him just waiting to get back in the game. It's like he's just sitting on the bench staring blankly ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sitting there waiting. Yeah.
So we got several questions. We touched upon ogres because we talked about the tush push and whether we should, revisit banning that. Chris Coons asks, is there anything owner could do to change your loyalty or to keep your fandom from happening? And I brought this up before. I think it was even in season 1, because Devin Tier and I, Devin Tier, fan of the show, who's a Buffalo Bills fan. So I know he didn't have a great week. We've talked about this because remember the rumor that Buffalo was going to move to Toronto years ago, and they actually played a few games in Toronto. I think if an owner ever moves the team, that's one where you get a free pass. You get to decide whether I get to stick with this or do I bail. I could probably make an argument for some of the malfeasance that David Tepper or Daniel Snyder has done, but I think even then you have to stick with your team and just understand you have a shitty owner.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Cardone.
No, I was that was exactly your answer, your retort there, Scott, was exactly what immediately went to my mind. I said, other than moving the team to a different city, like the Browns becoming the Ravens, something like that, nothing, dude. Fan for life. I mean, that's it. So no, I mean, the answer is no. My fandom will never waver, even through 20 years of losing seasons. I can't not be a fan. You can't. We've talked about this a million times. That is the absolute, just birthright. Once you're a fan, it's it. It's for life. I've said this a couple seasons ago. I said you can change. You can get divorced. You can change your spouse. You can change gender. You can do whatever. You cannot change your sports team. You can't.
No.
You could change jobs, change where you live, change all these things. You can't change your sports team. Not in my opinion.
No.
You can't.
I mean, don't you think if anyone on this planet has the right to do it, it would be me, and I still haven't at this point. I played in the stadium of not even my team's name, their competitor.
I don't even know how it's possible. Yeah.
You can't. And if you do, come on, give your man card in. You can't do that.
Yeah. I will say, the one, and one guy can speak, a friend of mine, he was a diehard Hartford Whaler. He was from Connecticut, a UConn guy, a Connecticut guy, loves hockey, was a diehard Whaler fan. And he's a guy who lived grew up there, lives in Charlotte, much like all of us, came down south. And when the Whale became the Hurricanes, and they even went on to win a Stanley Cup and all this, he goes, absolutely couldn't bring himself. He was just so heartbroken. Will never ever root for the Hurricanes they're not the Whalers. And I'm like, I can see it. That's what it is.
Totally.
No way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I do love when you go to a Hurricanes game and you still see the old Whaler jersey.
Yeah.
I love the old Whaler jersey. The W with the fin on it. Oh, that's awesome. So we also get another question from my friend Tony. He said, when was the last time you had a Fig Newton?
Good question.
That's amazing, actually, because I was just at BJ's the other day picking up some snacks and stuff, and I came across a big carton of Fig Newtons. I'm like, ooh, that looks really good. Like the Nabisco ones, isn't it Nabisco?
Yeah.
The Nabisco Fig Newton. And I was this close to putting them in the cart. So I can't say I had one because I didn't throw them in the cart. But now I'm like, it's been a while. It's been, I don't know.
I feel like I was somewhere, maybe not in the last year, but someone had some out, you go to something. And I took a bite of one and I immediately regretted it. I was like, what? I never liked those. I like
them.
Yeah.
I used to love a Fig Newton, and then I saw a story about them,
Uh-oh.
and it turned me off. So I'm gonna run through this for you because I used to I remember as a kid my mom would buy fig Newtons. I'd eat fig Newtons a lot, and then someone had said something about what happens when they're being made. So fig paste is allowed to have, from the FDA standpoint, up to 13 insects heads per 100 grams.
What?
What?
Yeah, because apparently
Up to
in
13.
figs there's a lot of flies around there. There's wasps, there's stuff like that. So you're they don't even call it insect parts. You're allowed to have up to 13 insect heads per 100 grams. So 100 grams is not a ton, I don't think. But as I say that, let me run down, just to be fair, some of the other things. So there's approximately 4 rodent hairs that are allowed in a jar of peanut butter. I don't know how you define approximately. It's either 4 rodent hairs or it's not. I don't know if it's like 3 short hairs and a long hair. I'm not positive of that.
How do you find them?
Well, yeah, and how someone's checking for that? There's only 3 in this one. They're good to go.
How do you check?
Leave them in.
There's an average of 60 thrips, which I don't know what a thrip is. They're allowed in 100 grams of frozen broccoli, and in 10 grams of hops. 10 grams of hops are allowed to contain 2,500 aphids and 5 milligrams of rat excrement in a 10 grams of hops are allowed to contain 2,500 aphids. So an aphid must be really small. And then the last one is there's 5 milligrams of rat excrement that are allowed in a pound of sesame seeds. So these are all okay by the FDA. I should still like fig Newtons. I don't know why that threw me off, but it did. It always has, ever since I saw that report.
That just ruined me.
It's not even insect parts. It's insect heads.
What was the one for hops?
So the hops one was. Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, because then I'm thinking
No.
next time I get a beer at a bar and I don't like the taste, I might be like, this must have too many rat heads or whatever. And
10 grams of hops. So 10 grams of hops, which is really small. They are allowed to contain 2,500 aphids.
Okay, I'll use that one next time.
What's your aphid content on these?
Yeah. What's your aphid ratio for your IPA?
Your aphid ratio is a little high.
I'd love to ask that to a brewer. He's like, well, we only have 2,000 in ours.
I'm like really disturbed by this news.
Who's got the job of? They got to take every 100th jar of peanut butter that comes off the line and spread it out and look for insect hair in it. That's quite a job.
I'm gonna starve on a beer, man.
Yeah,
that's all the aphids.
Yeah, there's 2,000 aphids going through my nostril right now.
Damn.
So Peacock Corner is back this week, and
all right.
He asks us what's worse, a GM letting Saquon walk or a GM hiring Brian Schottenheimer. And I'll say this, I have to give the GM for the Dallas Cowboys a pass because I think they thought they hired Marty.
Didn't Minnesota draft the wrong guy one time? Didn't they draft?
They didn't draft anyone.
They let the clock expire.
I remember they let the clock expire.
Yeah.
I thought there was a team that drafted the wrong guy. Like there was 2 guys with the same name, and they picked the wrong one.
That sounds like something the Jets would do.
I don't know. They're both bad.
I honestly don't blame the Giants for letting Barkley go. I don't know what they could have done to keep him. If you put Barkley on this year's team of the Giants at a high salary, he might have had a decent year, but he's not going to be talked about as if he's being talked about right now. We wouldn't have been in the playoffs with Barkley.
No, people would be burying the Giants for overpaying Barkley right now if they gave him the same amount of money that Philly did.
It's one of those situations. Yeah, now it's
lose.
I'm just pissed at everybody and everything. You know what I mean? Like I'm pissed at the Giants GM. I'm pissed at Barkley for, apparently, he wanted to probably, I mean, let's face it, the guy, he wanted to go to a winner. You know what I mean? We've seen various different stories come out on how the Giants and Barkley divorced, right? So and you're hearing different stories as the year has gone on. So I'm just mad at all of it. All of it. It just the fact that I don't know that you can point a finger at any single person anymore with this. It's just, I think the one article I read today or once, post was just simply like, I'm a Giant fan. Barkley's now an Eagle. It's been a full year. The guy's on the cusp of a Super Bowl championship. Fucking, that's it. Let's move. We're just moving on. He's now an Eagle.
Please.
He's on. He doesn't play for us anymore, and he's on the hated Eagles. So what can we do about it? Let's just. What are we supposed to do?
If I had said to you at the beginning of the year, okay, you can either pay Saquon $5 million more and you get to keep him, or if you let him go, he's going to the Eagles and they're going to the Super Bowl. He's going to be the MVP. What would you have said? You'll pay him the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, yes, I agree it wasn't the wrong decision at the time, but hindsight, I mean, he's in the Super Bowl. He's the MVP. He's the biggest story in football, and they let him go. So to me, Schottenheimer could turn out to be fucking Vince Lombardi for all we know. What? So to answer Peacock's question from my perspective, 100% Barkley.
By the way, can we something I just thought of that I did not have in my notes, but it just came to me this instant where, again, it's always this, and there's definitely this hatred of New York, the New York media, the New York bias, the New York team, like teams that if you're not a New York fan, like you just hate New York, right, around the country. It's just the big bad bully, New York City. How come? Like, and Barkley, given the year he had and all that, we understand that. But why haven't we heard even a fucking sniff of like the Titans letting Derrick Henry go to the Ravens?
Exactly. That's a good question. No.
I mean, why? Like Derrick Henry is, he's on the same level as Saquon Barkley in terms of like his accomplishments and the talent in this league and what he's like. How come we haven't heard a fucking sniff about that? Like, what the Tennessee, you idiots, for letting Derrick Henry go? Why have we heard that? Why? Because it's Tennessee Titans. Why?
Yep. No, it's
not a word.
Exactly
spot
that.
on.
Yeah, it's exactly that. You're right.
And we just can't get enough of like the Giants just dysfunction and how we can't hear enough about it. But yet Derrick Henry's allowed to just be handed over to the Ravens, albeit not in the same division, same conference, whatever you want. But have you heard, like, there was not, I didn't hear any not one article all year about about Henry or whenever whenever that happened. About him going to a different team, like Tennessee just not doing what they needed to do to re-sign him. I don't remember exactly how that went down, to be honest, but I just was thinking about that. I'm like, how come we never heard anything about Derrick Henry going to the Ravens? Why not?
There's a couple of them too. Josh Jacobs from the Raiders to the Packers. You haven't heard the Raiders come under fire for that.
Christian McCaffrey last Super Bowl. No one's talking about him being a Panther.
Yeah, you never hear former Panther Christian McCaffrey, former Titan Derrick Henry, former Packer, but they can't say enough about Barkley. They can't say it
and wait till media day. You guys are going to be so annoyed next Tuesday.
Yep.
You realize Barkley's going to pull out this line next week. I'm tired of talking about the New York Giants. How much you want to bet he does say that?
Yeah. And the other thing, too, about with Barkley is that in 6 years he played for us, right? The guy had success. You know what I mean? Like, he had multiple 1,300-yard rushing seasons, and not counting his receiving yards as well. The guy had big numbers. It wasn't like this. He was absolutely fucking just neutered to the point where like he couldn't even get like 500 yards, and then goes to the Eagles and gets 2,000 yards. The guy was getting 1,300 yards on the ground for us. He was. It wasn't that pathetic.
And people say like the Giants gave up on Barkley or this or that. Like nobody thought Barkley was washed. Just go back and watch the whatever it was, the HBO show. They knew they were letting go of a really good player who couldn't help them at the time. It's not like they said this guy can't play, dump him. It's nothing like that, which is what Tennessee did with Derrick Henry. He's too much tread on the tires. He's out of gas. No, you put him on a good team. They're going to be pretty good. And, oh, by the way, you're going to end up with the first pick in the draft because he's not on your team.
Yeah,
so, which we just ended up with the third because, we lost an even better running back. But, yeah, of course you're spot on, Cardone. All this nonsense. It's just Let it go. He's about to win a Super Bowl with another team. At least next year, can we stop? Can he just be an Eagle next year? Can we
return?
can we just
yeah.
get
The revenge game.
Yeah, I forgot. I forgot about McCaffrey. I mean, there have been big time guys leave for other teams in their prime, and have we heard? I mean, it's been shoved down our throats from day one.
Yeah. And not to mention, Cardone, in the article you linked, there's several good points. We offered him an extension a year ago. We offered him money this time. We told him that whatever another team offered it, bring it back. We'd try to match it. I mean, it's not like we shoveled the guy out the door.
Right.
We couldn't have paid for anyone else if we had kept him. We have a terrible offensive line that we weren't addressing. He couldn't help us.
Yeah.
And
you could tell because Tyrone Tracy comes in and has pretty similar numbers.
Yeah.
To Barkley here. Barkley here is not Barkley in Philadelphia. To Novak's point, if we could have known he would go into Philadelphia, maybe we would have tried to trade him somewhere else to keep him out of the division. But
and I love our fan base who just rips John Mara about this. And John Mara, wanted to keep Barkley. And they, like I mentioned last week when I was talking about Pat Leonard posting the picture of John Mara with his hand on his head down, lamenting about Barkley leaving. Guys, you said Mara was going to meddle and keep Barkley here. And then he didn't. You were like, all right, Mara step back. And now you're bitching because Mara didn't keep Barkley here.
Yeah,
Barkley here is not Barkley in Philadelphia. That's what people need to realize. Barkley here does not make us a playoff team.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's not just plug and play.
So
I mean, the other thing you could tell, by the way, is you mentioned Shipley earlier. He gets in the game and rips off 2 huge runs behind that offensive line. I mean, Barkley must feel like he's in heaven. I mean, it's yeah. And once he gets in the open field, he's maybe the best player in the open field in football. So we just couldn't get him into the open field.
No.
Peacock also asks, how can we improve the Pro Bowl? He loved it as a kid. I'll tell you what, I don't disagree that the Pro Bowl needs to move back to Hawaii or anything like that. The game itself, I barely watched. I sort of like the idea of the skills contest. I just wish it was structured a little bit differently, but I'm on board with the way they do it now. I mean, I can turn on. I like watching the quarterbacks when they throw at the different, like, what do they call it? Like the
the dartboard, like the moving target.
The moving targets that are going.
With the chalk on the end of the football, so it makes
it makes the blue mark on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a disaster. Russell Wilson and Drake May are in the Pro Bowl. I mean, come on.
But they don't actually play the game anymore.
No, there's no game.
But still, come on.
There's no game.
The Pro Bowl, I hate the Pro Bowl. I really do. And I've always hated it for years because it meant the season's over. But I think it's gotten worse. I do like the skills stuff a little bit more. I would agree with you, Scott. I do like that. But the game itself is stupid.
Hey, I think I told you guys
this.
Thing. Back in 2000, I won a trip to the Pro Bowl. And so my wife and I got an all expenses paid trip out to Hawaii. We got, a stipend each day. We got a rental car. We went to the Pro Bowl practice and then sold our tickets and didn't even go to the game. We were on a Mai Tai cruise during the game because we didn't even give a shit. We won tickets to the Pro Bowl.
You were in Hawaii and had tickets.
Yeah. The only thing I liked about the Pro Bowl was back in the day when they had the game. I'm going back to like the 80s and 90s when the NFC always wore the blue jerseys. And the AFC had the white jerseys with the red pants, but they kept their helmet. I love seeing like the contrast of like the Packer yellow on the blue jersey, the Redskin. It was always funny to see like a Pittsburgh Steeler helmet with the red pants because none of it matched. You're right. I love seeing the helmets on they brought their own helmet with them. That was always I don't know, some silly little thing that I loved about the Pro Bowl was just the guys wearing their own helmets with blue jerseys in the NFC was hilarious. Like it was just weird to see. I'm trying to remember like the biggest contrast. All of them, like except for the Giants, of course. That is our color. So that is But I just love seeing, like, the Packers was always one that stood out. Like a big bright yellow helmet on top of a blue jersey just didn't look. It was just funny.
That's true. It did.
When we're at one of these games live and we're jersey hunting, looking for people with odd jerseys, a Pro Bowl jersey is always
That's a good one.
That's always one that you can put some laughter into. Some Tiki Barber Pro Bowl special.
So Peacock asks one last question. This is for Novak. How the hell can Aaron Glenn want Rodgers back next year?
I want him back, believe it or not. Because what else is out there? Where else are we going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, what Marcus Mariota? Like here, my whole take on the Jets has changed. I wanted them to just break it down and start over. I don't. I want them to end the stink of this playoff drought thing for 14 years.
Can anyone win with Rodgers anymore, though?
I think they could. Yeah, I do. I think they could win 9 games and sneak in as this. I just want to get in, lose in the wild card round, and I am as happy as shit. I just need to end this 14-year drought, and I think the best chance we have to do is with the dick. Believe it or not. I can't believe I'm saying it, but
I can't either.
I don't see a better option out there. I don't. And if there's someone has one, great. I just don't see it. I don't want Justin
Dick
Fields.
Looked old this year, though.
He did, but maybe he gets back to running the ball more, and it's not about him. And maybe Aaron Glenn has he's a leader of men. I don't know what's going to happen.
He's a leader
of men.
So Kim Drake asks us, Tabasco or Frank's? I've always been a Frank's guy. First off, I have a problem with Tabasco because Tabasco to me is just heat. I want flavor with my hot sauce. So I like Frank's, Louisiana hot sauce, Texas Pete's, whatever it is. I'll take any of those over Tabasco.
Frank's for sure.
Frank's.
Tabasco is for eggs. Everything else gets a different kind of hot sauce. But I like Tabasco on eggs. I always have a little jar of Tabasco for eggs. But everything else I prefer Texas Pete, but I like Frank's and I like Cholula. I like all those other ones. But yeah, Tabasco, you're right. It's not very good on its own, but it's made it's perfect for eggs for some reason.
So my friend Mike asks, if the Jets beat Minnesota and Denver this year, would they have had a winning season? Would that have turned their year around?
I think if they had beaten Denver, that they would have, yes, because I think Denver is the downfall, and then they fired Saleh, and it spiraled from there. But I think if they had beaten Denver, they would have gone to, I think, 4-2, if I have that right, and then they would have had Minnesota the following week, 5-2. Yep, I think they would have, and I think they would have gone 9-10 wins and gotten in the playoffs. So yes, I believe that.
Okay. And for the Giant fans, he asks, if the Giants don't screw up the kicking situation in week 2 and beat Washington, does that change the trajectory for one or both of those teams this year? And I'm torn on that because, the Giants in the early season didn't seem terrible. We got that win against Seattle. We looked like we had some decent games. That Washington one looked like one that we just lost because of malpractice from a roster management standpoint. Does that change our season? I don't know. I think it might have changed Washington's more. I'm not sure Washington becomes a team that they are if they stumble out of the gate.
I think so. Yeah, I want to answer that too, Scott. No question. I think the Giants, I don't think it makes a big difference. The Giants still would not have been competitive. They still would have lost a lot of games, even if they had held on in that Washington game. I do think that it's funny. I had this conversation the other day, and I do think that Washington's season, one game can make a difference. And if no one's a big believer of that, what do you think the Hail Mary did for the Chicago Bears against Washington? Because they went on like an 8-game lose. They were ready to go. They were one play away from going 5-2, that Bear team, and they ended up losing like 8 straight games. Coaches being fired, absolutely were just their season just vaporized. So I do think in week 2, before we knew Jaden Daniels was going to have the year he had, if the Giants had, don't forget, Washington got blown out by Tampa in week 1. Washington would have started the season 0-2. Think about that.
Yeah.
0-2. Yeah, their season would have been different. Giants, maybe not so much. I don't think so. Scott, answering the same way. I absolutely think that can happen in an NFL season when you only play 16, 17 of these things. Yep, one game can make a difference. All you got to do is look at that Chicago Bear game, and after that, their season was over.
By the way, Kevin Burkhardt, that's one thing he said that did chat me during the Eagle Redskin game is he kept referencing, he's like, well, the Redskins are never out of it because remember that game against the Bears where they threw the Hail Mary. It's like, well, that was one game, and it was really that's a very lucky play when that happens. It's not like this is expected that you're just going to get Hail Marys all over the place.
I never heard luck once to describe that play, but I've heard luck described the Tyree helmet catch. I've heard the word luck a fucking million times though on that one. Not on the Hail Mary against Chicago. Sorry, I digress. I got to sneak that in.
Well, Washington's a team that, I still think they're going to be good. And I still like Daniels, although I think he's got a lot more to prove before he gets to the level people have met now. But they're going to be a team that self-corrects next year. I'm almost sure that every coin flip situation they were in this year, they won.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen for another full season. They'll find themselves back closer to the 10-win window than wherever they ended up.
They also had a fourth place schedule too.
Yeah.
Now next year they'll have a second place schedule. So
yeah. Although the Giants as the fourth place team have one of the toughest schedules in the league. So
no, not one of the
toughest. Yeah. Toughest.
How is that possible?
Because it just is.
Do you play the AFC West?
AFC West and the NFC North. There you go.
Think about the AFC West coaches: Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, Pete Carroll, and Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Think about that. One frickin' division.
Yep.
And you got all four.
Not Liam Cohen.
Duval.
So Mike also asks, you have an all expenses trip paid anywhere you want to go, and you get $500 a day too. Where do you go? Now the catch is you have to go alone and you have to stay for 3 months.
The Pro Bowl.
Let's go to the Pro Bowl for 3 months.
You have to go alone?
You have to go alone and you have to stay for 3 months. So I'm doing this. I don't care about the $500 a day stipend. I'm going to a beach, probably in Tahiti. I'm just holing up there with bucket of Coronas or whatever every day, sitting down, watching from my cabana. I'm just going to sit out for 3 months and enjoy the beach. That's me personally.
Some island somewhere. I was thinking the same thing. Somewhere in the Caribbean, or maybe going all the way to like Australia or something like that. Just go to, I don't know, maybe go to freaking Sydney, Australia or something. Just go hang out there for 3 months.
I might go to New York. I know it's crazy, but think of all that you can do. There's sporting events, all expenses paid. There's restaurants, there's museums, parks, the whole thing. I don't know. There's so much to do. I mean, I think I would get bored on an island for 3 months.
Yeah, I'm in no danger of getting bored. I have to be by myself. Is that a rule? Because I love that.
That's part of it.
Yeah. I would go the other way. I would go up. I would go get snowed in a cabin for 3 months. I'm stop on the way up and get provisions, and just go up there and just 3 months. Yeah.
By the way, I always love that. Like when you're in a remote location, it's not like groceries it's provisions.
Provisions. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Like milk could mean a lot of different things, but in certain areas it's provisions.
It's a provision.
It's a provision.
Anything that you have to ration or you can't go back out for, I guess, is a provision. So the next time we have 2 inches of snow here in Charlotte, everyone go get your provisions.
Buy your bread and milk, and for some reason I don't know why people go for bread, milk, and eggs. But I still don't get that. Mike also asks, his final question is, if you're quarantined for 1 year supply, you're quarantined for 1 year and you need a supply of one snack only, one brand only, what are you choosing?
Take up to my cabin. My that's some of my provisions. on
That's
the
your
way up.
provision.
Back for a year.
Has to be a food.
It doesn't have to be. Well, I guess it does have to be a food when he says snack.
Oh
so.
yeah.
I was just going to say, a bag of original Lay's, like unlimited bags of original Lay's, but I need dip with those. So if I can only have one, I might have to revisit.
I was gonna say like kettle cooked Lay's, maybe original or something. Just plow those. Those you can actually just eat right out of the bag. Yeah, something without a dip, I think.
I might say
might
some
go
sort of pizza.
I
Pizza bites even.
I was gonna go a different direction, like say, a Jack Link's beef jerky or something like that. I'll just have that on hand.
Now that's provisions.
Yeah,
I've got to have
protein.
You know what else? What actually came to mind first, and I don't know why, because I don't really eat these ever, is ranch flavored bugles. I just love the bugle.
Bugle.
But a bugle will get tiring after a year, so it's like I think I'll go for the jerky.
Jerky's good. Yeah, I like it.
Jerky's good.
Yeah.
I could do Doritos or donuts.
Yeah,
That'd be good,
Doritos. I'd probably fall back to Doritos. Just that'd be a good one. Doritos. Cookies. Oh, Chips Ahoy.
Oh, cookies. Yeah,
Chips
that'd be
Ahoy.
good.
No doubt.
You guys got anything else tonight?
I got one last thing here as I'm scrolling through just some NFL news this week. Every offseason has started except for two teams. And I was scrolling through, and here's the proverbial Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, which quarterback is the Steelers' future? And I'm like, here we go. And I was the way I want to answer that, if I was giving I'd be like, well, it depends. If you want to win football games, I would say Russell Wilson. If you want to lose football games, then Justin Fields. As simple as that. Here we go with Justin Fields. I love seeing this guy's name in the headlines. This quarterback controversy of Justin Fields it's laughable, man.
He's going to be a top free agent, and he got beaten out by a broken down Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we'll see it again this year. I really do. Although there are some desperate teams out there, and I hope for us it's not one of our teams, but there is going to be no market for him again, and the media is going to be again hands in the air. We don't get it, but people conveniently forget the Steelers almost threw him a bone. I mean that the offseason was just about over. It's not. And this guy wasn't brought there to compete. I mean. He can't play. He can't play, and everyone knows it. Everyone except the media knows it.
What I love about the article too is they put up like both guys' stats, whatever, and under Fields' stats is like his rushing yard average.
Yeah.
There
his rushing.
Some scrub backup quarterback, and I'm like, got it. And the best thing you can do is trot out his fucking rushing yards average.
Yep.
Like.
Every time ESPN brings up field stats, rushing yards are included. They don't do that for anyone else. They never did that for Daniel Jones. Not once. They never said factor in Jones rushing yards in this game. No, never.
Although, real quickly, I'll say if the Dick doesn't come back, Justin Fields is going to be a Jet. Mark it down.
I hear rumors they want him for the Giants. I do not want this guy with a 10-foot pole.
I can't see that.
I don't
see that.
I really don't see that.
I think it's going to be the same thing as last year. If they decide at the last minute they want him, he's going to be available. It's going to be pennies on the dollar. What did he do with Pittsburgh?
Nothing.
That was any better than what he did for the Bears when nobody else wanted him when he left the Bears? Nothing.
I was
he
half
came
joking,
in on
guys.
a couple third and twos and didn't convert. So that's better.
I was only half joking when I said if Justin Fields gets signed by the Giants, I said the pod will be two angry Giant fans and a Jet fan because I'll kill myself. I really will.
Yeah,
I will.
I'll go find the cabin. I'll go get my Chips Ahoy. Go to the cabin.
Or I'll just build a raft like what's his name, like Chuck what Nolan did in Castaway. I'll dump it in the Gulf of Mexico and I'll just ride the Atlantic current coast and end up in Reykjavik, Iceland. I'll see you in Iceland until you guys somehow, hopefully there's a cell tower there. You guys can text me, call me, something, send a Cessna over there and say, Cardone, you can come back now to the States, like Fields is gone or whatever. I don't know if it's 1 year. Whenever he's gone, I'll come back.
All I know is if you
I'll go to Iceland.
if you have a raft automatically precludes you have to have provisions.
Yeah. Have to have provisions on the raft. Also, I'm not sure what are you talking about? Where's the Gulf of Mexico? You never heard of that before.
That's right.
That's some new body. I don't know where that is.
So you need provisions in the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America.
That's right.
Right off of Galveston.
Yeah. Build my raft and disappear.
All right. So, guys, you'll be up in the air as much as we are. Whether we're coming on the air next week or not, we'll let you know. We'll put the notice out. We'll put the bat signal up. Send your questions in. We'd love the non-football questions, especially in a week where we're just going to be beaten down with all the shit that's going on. We're going to hear about Kendrick Lamar. We're going to hear about Taylor Swift. We're going to hear about the Chiefs, the Eagles. Everything that we despise about the NFL is going to come to play this week. So
yeah, full display. Yep.
And full display. So we are the three Angry Giant fans and the Jet fans. There's host Scott, Giant Mike and Cardone, and Angry Jets fan Novak. And until next week, see you later.
See you later.